Hello, everyone. My name is Carl, and today I will be talking about Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was developed and published by Team Cherry on June 12th, 2018, for the Switch. It is currently in the eShop for $15 flat, and it is rated E10 plus for fantasy, violence, and mild blood. It is a Metroidvania from the indie development team, Team Cherry, with a sequel in the works by the name of Hollow Knight Silksong. So, in Hollow Knight, you follow this nameless bug knight who visits a small town called Dirtmouth, and underneath this small town, there is a sprawling underground, think like an ant farm type thing, and it's ridden with this orange goo called the infection. And there's kind of this big mystery of what is going on, and it's kind of up to you to figure out what's going on and to see if there's anything you can do about it. Um, Going into this game, I had heard good stuff about it. Everybody was saying it was good, and I believe my father got this for me either for Christmas or my birthday. So I checked it out. Um, Gameplay wise, it's like a Metroidvania 2D style. For those of you who don't know, a Metroidvania is like a 2D style with like a big map that you have to explore, and you have to unlock abilities that will let you progress to other areas of the map, similar to a Metroid game or a Castlevania game. The gameplay itself is really simple. You're running around, you have a sword that's called a nail, and you can run, jump, slash with your nail, do a really quick slash. And you can do other stuff too, like if you slash downwards on an enemy, you can kind of bounce off their head. Later, you get more abilities for more mobility. So that's kind of shakes up your options when you're fighting bosses and stuff. I won't get too into that. I'm gonna try to over this review not talk about a lot of the specifics of the game because while I'll get into it later, why it's very hard to figure out what's a spoiler and what's not. So I'm just gonna try to err on the side of caution as much as possible and not um, try to give everything away. There's also this, interesting magic MP mechanic called Soul. Whenever you slash a an enemy, you regain soul in your soul meter, and you can use soul to do various different things. But one of the main things you can do is heal. So when you hold down whatever the heal button is, if you are like unimpeded or uninterrupted for 2 or 3 seconds or whatever, you will heal 1 hit point. And this is a very like digital hit point system. You only have a few. I think you start out with three, and you can get more in the end. But if you get hit once, you lose a hit point, and that's pretty much universal. So, but they give this interesting trade off where if you're in the middle of the boss fight and you have a lot of soul, you can heal the HP you've lost. But the thing is, it costs um, it costs soul while you're charging the spell up. So if you charge the spell up and don't complete it, you'll still lose a little bit of soul. You lose the main chunk of soul when you finish the spell. But if you get interrupted, if you like choose a bad time to try to regain your HP, you'll lose soul in the middle. Um, so I think that's kind of like an interesting trade-off of you can heal whenever you want, theoretically, including in a boss battle, but you just have to be prepared um, to find a good spot. Because if they attack you while you're healing, you might just find yourself, even if you dodge the hit, that you've lost some of your soul. And so you have this kind of like back and forth of if you continue to hit the enemy, you get more soul, and if you are clever enough, you can heal throughout the entire battle, even if you have no soul going in. It is very like tough as nails in its approach to gameplay. It's not very forgiving. Um, like I said, like you have this digital HP where every hit counts. You get hit once, boom, you lose a fifth of your HP, depending on how much you have in the in the game. So it's very much a focus on try to never get hit. You know, you never like, oh, well, I'll get hit by this because it won't do as much damage as if I got. No, you want to never get hit because everything does more or less the same damage of just one hit point. But it does have that good feeling of like a sloping difficulty curve where they'll face you with a boss and you'll like absolutely get wrecked by the boss at the start, but you'll come back and you'll figure out, okay, this is their attack pattern. I got you. So then you figure out, all right, um, now I can avoid this attack. This is like their tell. So I can avoid this. I can dodge that. All right, this is how you do this. This is when they're vulnerable. This is when they might counterattack you. So as you go into the boss more and more and more, you slowly do better, and eventually, theoretically, you win. Um, but if you don't win and you lose and you die, there's this interesting mechanic where your shade will kind of dissociate from your body and um, stay around the spot where you died, and all of your money, your geo, will be held by your shade, as well as um, like half your soul meter, I want to say. So you can't have full soul when you have a shade out. And once you beat the shade, it'll give you all your money back and your soul meter back. And if you die a second time, you lose all your money. Again, tough as nails, and um, you have a new shade there. You still only have half your soul meter um, left, so you have to go kill that shade. But yeah, that's more or less the long and short of it. There's also a little bit where if you get charm slots, you can equip charms, which are badges, and they can do various things. Similar badge system, very standard if you're familiar with that. You can find them all around. So your goal is just to kind of explore and figure out what's going on. And that kind of gets me into the story aspect of it. Now, the story is the hardest thing to talk about because I don't, it's been a long time since I've played it, and so I both don't know what could be considered a spoiler, and I don't remember a lot of the stuff, and like when you find the information out. Because like here's the thing, if memory serves me correctly, you start out like you get a few like little mini like tablets that you can read that tell you a little bit about what's going on, but you don't get much. And that's kind of the beauty of the story. It's never really shoved down your throat. A lot of the time you're just exploring and having fun playing the game, and you're kind of wondering, okay, where is this taking me? Where is this going? Like, what what is happening? Who's the antagonist? What's going on? Because like all you know is, okay, there's this town of Dirtmouth or Dirtmouth, I don't know. There's no voice acting. Um, and you talk to some people, and they tell you like, hey, you can go down underground, but it's dangerous down there. There's this orange goo called the infection. It's infected a bunch of the bugs down there. They'll try to kill you. There are a lot of not infected yet still hostile bugs. And there's like not a lot of like sentient people that are also willing to talk to you and tell you what's going on. So that you don't have a lot of information, and you kind of just have to um, figure out what's going on through visual storytelling and like maybe the occasional sign here and there. Maybe someone will tell you something, and you kind of have to piece together what's going on. And that's what I really like about I'm a really big fan of that sort of lore type thing where they don't shove stuff down your throat. You don't have to go out and do extra reading or whatever. But if you're attentive and you remember things and you put the pieces together, you can figure out, oh, this is that. This is what must have been what happened in the past. This came over here. And to make things even better, it has one of those stories that has a lot of layers, like an ogre. It and what I mean by that is, I mean, the most obvious way is you can access where the final boss is pretty early in the game. You can't get in, but you can get to the area where it is pretty early in the game. But if you progress farther in the game, if you get more power ups, you can find out, oh, okay, if I use this power up in the boss fight, I can make this happen, and I can extend the boss fight, and I can get a different ending. And there's multiple different endings, all of which depend on how far you got in the game, and therefore how far you can get in the boss fight. And I really love that about it because I beat the first ending, like the first opportunity I had, I went and I beat the final boss, and like the ending wasn't really satisfying, and but then I found out, okay, there's a little bit more. I found another thing, and I got access to some other stuff, and then I found out, oh, I can use this ability in the final boss fight. And then that extends it, and I've got a different boss, and I was like, oh my god, and that guy was too hard, so I never beat it. I think I got maybe like the third of four endings, or the second, or I got to the third ending, but I never beat the final boss because, like, let me tell you, some of the later DLCs are just absolutely, positively tough as nails. I could not, for the life of me, beat them. Granted, I didn't put a whole lot. I didn't put dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hours into it. It's just that I couldn't, like, I didn't want to invest that much time because it was so hard. But if you're someone who loves that sort of grind of like getting better and better, speedrunners, I think, love this game because it just, it encourages you to hone your skills, tangibly encourages you, so you can run the gauntlet, the extra DLC. Um, but yeah, I couldn't do it. But yeah, this big story, it's like I had to go watch videos about it because I wanted to see what I had missed, and I was so interested in okay, there's a city here, it's completely abandoned. Who lived here? Why'd they leave? How did they die? Did they leave? What happened? What's this? This place is a coliseum. Like, how did this get set up? Who's this? Who's the other thing? There's a throne here with someone on it. Who is that person? And that's what I love about it, is that the answers are all somewhere in the game, or most of the answers are somewhere in the game. Of course, there's going to be some that they just don't have answers to, but the vast majority of answers are found somewhere. And if you're clever enough, and you're good enough at exploring, and you're good enough at putting the pieces together, they will come together, and that's amazing. I really like the story, the almost anti-story here, if that makes any sense. But in any case, enough about the story. The graphics and art style. It's a really good, like, it's kind of hard to tell right here. Okay, I don't have some glare on it, but like you've got this classic looking, like, hand drawn type art style, and it's not pixel art. It's not pixelated. It's like almost like little hand drawn animations. I don't know if they actually drew the animations frame by frame, but I mean it certainly looks something along those lines, and it looks gorgeous. Uh, the everything is so atmospheric. The kind of um idea of this game is that everything is abandoned. Like, it used to be bustling, but now there's no one. So there's the art style is very dark and muted, while not being like, I can't see what I'm looking at. The animations are nice and crisp. All the hitboxes line up. It's very good. And yeah, it's not something you see a lot of nowadays in games. It's usually like the hyper realistic 3D, or maybe you'll go for the pixel art style before. But yeah, onto the music. There's not a lot of, like, music, like background music in this game. It's a lot of like echoing caverns, dripping like stalactites. There's a few areas that have their own like somber music playing in the background. If you're coming to this game for a bunch of upbeat anything, music included, you're not gonna get it. There's not a lot of cheerful moments in this game, but at the same time, um, there's like it's not it's like kind of this muted sadness, I guess. It's this really atmospheric, I feel like I've been using that word over and over again, um, tone that makes you kind of feel almost like you're at like a temple, like a holy place or something. Like you need to be quiet and you need to like respect what's going on and what's happened here. If that makes some sort of sense. And also, sound design wise, it's really nice that way as well. There's a lot of clinking and rocks tumbling and bugs groaning and stuff like that. It feels very very tangible and very real, which is saying something considering that you're a little bug guy like this that has no emotions, right? Um, Finally, before my conclusion, the DLC. All of the game's DLC is included within the original price. So, I mean, of course, I would recommend you get it. Even if it wasn't, I would still recommend you get it, given that the vast majority of it kind of incorporates into the main story. It's not just like a separate like content pack, like oh, go to this area and do this. It's more or less everything kind of uh, integrates seamlessly into the story. It very much feels like they have the entire story beforehand, and they just kind of had this episodic nature to it. But yeah, all in all, this is a really it's a great game. It's one of those examples of like you've got Team Cherry. There's this very small development team. I don't think they've made any games before this. If they have, they've been very small, I want to say. I haven't heard of them. I looked them up, and everything was on their website was Hollow Knight branded. So I'm gonna assume that this is their biggest thing. Um, but it's an example of like a game that's just really well dialed in. Like they knew what they wanted to do with the combat, they knew what they wanted to do with the art style, they knew what they wanted to do with the game or the gameplay and the soundtrack and the story, and they just made sure that it was all nice and tidied in, tidily put in this nice package to work out like a well-oiled machine. You get a lot of games these days that are like these like massive like AAA titles where there's a lot of small stuff that you're like, oh, this could have been better, that could have been better, but overall, whatever. Like I see what they're trying to do. With Hollow Knight, it's like everything is just really, really well dialed in. It's very finely tuned. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. This is an amazing game, especially considering that it was made by this small dev team and it's only $15. I think you should pick it up if you're someone especially that enjoys a challenge. And you enjoy atmospheric stuff. This is definitely for you. Maybe if you're someone that likes more chill games that aren't demanding, or if you don't like really nebulous stories or something, maybe give it a miss. But like I don't know, like I said, it's $15. Just pick it up. I think it's great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Hollow Knight. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree, or have anything else to say. I read all my comments. Yes, in any case, that's my thoughts on Hollow Knight, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.